What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Terence Bud Crawford. Get this. Terence Crawford wants Spence, then Jermell Charlo in 2023. Terence Bud Crawford wants to fight Spence in May for the undisputed 147-pound championship, followed by a second four-belt fight against the 154-pound king Jermall Charlo in back-to-back fights in 2023. Crawford might not get past this fight's weekend, or this weekend's fight against David Avanesian in their fight on BLK Prime premiere in Omaha, Nebraska. It's been over a year since Crawford last fought, and he looked poor against the washed gatekeeper Shawn Porter. Avanesian hits harder than Porter and has fewer miles on the odometer. The itinerary follows: Errol Spence Jr., then Jermell Charlo, then Jermall Charlo. Wow. If Crawford is willing to run the gauntlet, he could face Spence, Jermell Charlo, and his twin brother Jermall Charlo. That would be an ideal situation, but given Crawford's lack of size and advantage age, he's likely to fall apart in his first test against Spence. Crawford isn't interested in taking any in-between fight to introduce him to the Premier Boxing Champions audience on Showtime against the likes of Rashidi Ellis or Josecito Lopez, so that fans not accustomed to watching him will get the chance to see him before he's matched against Spence and Crawford. Jermell. Unfortunately, Crawford's talk of fighting Spence and Charlo could be little more than a deluded pipe dream on his part, because he's an unpopular belt holder at 147 and a guy that has failed to establish himself as a star despite having won world titles in 3 divisions. And let me counterpunch there. This is Chris Williams. First of all, obviously Chris Williams is not a Terence Crawford fan. You know what I mean? Like, you just can see it. Like, oh, the size, the age, is what he said was true. No. Okay. Because there was a lot of guys that were able to do so, like Floyd was able to do it, but Floyd dragged people down. Floyd was nothing like Terence Crawford, though. Floyd was already the guy that everyone loved to hate. So you participated in buying that fight. Either you was green, black, red, white, or black, right? You were able, and people were able to buy the pay-per-view. But then again, that was Floyd. Floyd was painted the villain since he got out of, jail. He did some time, and for an unpopular reason. So a lot of people that had a whole nother gender against him. Okay. So, that was Floyd. Terence, on the other hand, was pretty much buried by Bob Arum. Okay. Wasn't really promoted by Bob Arum. And Bob Arum's ego thought that he didn't have to promote anymore. He just took the 30% of whatever the fuck he made. But it wasn't really what he thought he would make. So he pissed and he moaned. And instead of promoting Terence Crawford, he demoted Terence Crawford. So Terence Crawford and Bob Arum, Top Rank, they're in negotiations now of a lawsuit. That's the negotiation, the lawsuit. He's taking Bob to court. But he still wants Spence and Jermell. How realistic is that, though? Okay. Well, first he has to get past David Avanesian. And despite what people say, and despite what you hear people talk about Terence Crawford's resume, Amir Khan, Kell Brook, Jeff Horn, Jose Benavidez, Shawn Porter, Mean Machine. Those guys that he fought were named opponents. Okay. Errol Spence beat Kell Brook. Beat Kell Brook in the UK. Okay. Now, people criticize Terence Crawford because he did it last or later. And what people don't understand, he did it quicker. He did it in a more devastating fashion. He got him out of there in 4 rounds as opposed to 10 rounds. You can say what you want to about Kell Brook. He was already beat up by middleweight, and he already had his eye socket shattered, fractured, okay, by Gennady Golovkin going up there. You know, it would have been a different story had he just stayed at his damn weight class, but he didn't. You know, Gennady Golovkin had really shamed him because he criticized Canelo Alvarez for knocking out Amir Khan and making Amir Khan go to 155, if you guys can remember that. But he made Kell Brook come all the way to 160, and he beat the piss out of him for it. Kell Brook gave him a fight until he pissed him off, and then Gennady Golovkin had to show him his good boy, right, and shatter his eye socket. Then he goes back and fights Errol Spence and takes his second career loss to Errol Spence, but giving Errol Spence a pretty good damn fight. Now, needless to say, he gave Terence Crawford a good fight as long as it lasted until Terence caught him. Okay, so there you go. Amir Khan, okay, same difference. Yeah, it flopped bad, but how was the fight? The fight was dynamic. Terence Crawford showed why he was a special fighter against a very fast, or one of the fastest welterweights in the division, Amir Khan. Amir Khan might have had a glass chin or whatever, but Amir Khan wasn't knocked out cold. He made him quit. Okay, that's the difference. See, Amir Khan normally gets knocked out cold. That's how you stop him. That's how you stop that. You knock him out. That's what Canelo had to do, right? Well, Terence didn't have to do that. He showed him angles. He dropped him in the first round. Then he just beat him up, worked him to the body stylistically. You know, he made Amir Khan quit, bro. Okay, Mean Machine. Mean Machine was undefeated. Jeff Horn was undefeated. Jose Benavidez was undefeated. Okay, David Avenesian is not undefeated. Okay, but then again, according to Chris Williams, he might not get past him. So when he goes there and smokes David Avenesian, what can Chris Williams and all the other Terence Crawford haters say about that? Oh, well, you know, he was washed up and he wasn't no good anyway. That's what they're going to say. Okay? Counterpunch. But again, how realistic is the Errol Spence fight? I don't think it's I don't think it's actually realistic at all, because what we've learned about fighters of today, fighters don't talk. They don't fight. They just talk a good game. They would rather send messages or call each other on the phone and talk a bunch of shit, see each other at fights, have a standoff, and nothing gets done. I don't think that's Crawford at all. I think Crawford wasn't used to how they did things in the PBC, and he found out very quickly that these guys don't even get guarantees for their fucking fights. Okay, that's why he's fighting on BLK Prime for a guaranteed $10 million, because he's not used to a promise that he's learned that hasn't been kept. What do I mean by that? That means, hey, if you guys make a good pay-per-view, you'll get percentage of that. That's how you'll get your money, but guarantee you're going to get very little or none at all. I wouldn't do that either if I was Terence Crawford, okay? It's just a fact of opinion. But a lot of people's opinion changes when it comes to Terence Crawford, because they want Terence Crawford to take some bullshit offer just because he wasn't marketed right at Top Rank. But Top Rank paid him now, didn't they? That was the problem with Top Rank. They had to pay him because the contract was right. You know, and if they didn't pay him, he could sue them and still get his damn money. Okay? That's Bob Arum for you. But he at least got paid. He should have left a long time ago. But even if he would have left, would that have guaranteed an Errol Spence fight? No, it wouldn't have. Because it wasn't in the plan for Errol Spence, you see? So if he wants to fight him at age 35, okay, let's see what he can do. A guy that don't drink or don't smoke, that wrestles for a living and has 5 kids, maybe he's still able to do what he does. Maybe he's not. Okay, because Errol Spence is still only 32, and if he could stay off the sauce, I think he could be a very dangerous opponent for Terence Crawford. But the question would be, will he fight him due to all the politics surrounding Errol Spence? You know, because I'm not set on believing that they've gave up on that Canelo Alvarez opportunity. Because if Canelo somehow decides to, hey, let me go fight Errol Spence and do some shit like that, then that Terence Crawford's fight is right out of the window. Because Errol Heyman will knock off Terence Crawford before ever wanting to bypass a Canelo Alvarez fight, because I think that was all in the plan. To have a big super fight at Texas Stadium with Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. Okay, an undefeated fighter taking on a Hall of Famer, superstar, the biggest in the sport. Go figure. Do you think that he's going to actually risk that fucking around with Terence Crawford that stopped everybody in each weight class that he's been in like fucking Thanos? No. Okay, so I think in Jermell Charlo, I don't, okay, if he fights Errol, first of all, if he fights Errol and beats Errol, I think it will be a rematch. I don't think he will go right into a Jermell Charlo fight. And even if he did, do you think Jermell Charlo would want to fight him at that point? If he already thinks Errol Spence is a better fighter than everybody? Not saying I wouldn't want to see it. I would love to see it. And then jumping up to Jermall Charlo. You have to understand, Errol Spence, Jermell Charlo, all of these are Al Haymon guys. So you think these guys are permittable to fight? If it's taken this hard and long and 5 fucking years for one fight to happen and it ain't happened yet, you think that he's going to just beat Errol, then fight Jermell, then fight Jermall? I doubt it. Because once he beats Errol Spence, that's going to be a tremendous loss for Al Haymon. And Al Haymon then will start, you know what? Fuck Terence Crawford. Because we're not dealing with him to that capacity. We're not going to let one of my fighters that I know that's loyal to me get in the ring with this guy because this guy is a straight up banana skin. I don't think he will allow that to happen if he allows the Errol Spence fight to happen. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of the itinerary of Terence Bud Crawford. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.